All right. Good evening, everyone. Hope your Tuesday, the third Tuesday of this month, is going well. Thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedule, whether you just recently got off work or you're in the middle of dinner to step away to join us. We really appreciate your time, and we especially appreciate any newcomers that's joining us on the call, whether it's your first time, second time, or just recently joined. We welcome you to the Actives family. And as we mentioned earlier before we started this recording, we have a very special guest tonight joining us. Usually our CEO, David Brown, presents on this call and hosts it, but we actually have an upgrade, if I want to say, in looks as well, with our best dressed and handsome President Ryan Thompson on the call, and he will be hosting our newcomers call. Now, just to let those who don't know about Ryan, I have utmost respect for him. He has been in this industry for quite some time, whether it's from a customer service agent to an elite agent to executive positions, also dabbled in distributorship just as yourself. So when he really talks, he talks from experience. He's a been there, done that kind of guy, and he has a wealth of knowledge in this industry, and we value his opinion, his expertise here at Actives. And so I am so grateful that I get to work with such wonderful people like our President Ryan Thompson. So without further ado, I will turn the time over to Ryan Thompson.
Thank you, Stu. Good evening to you, or good day. I think it's a few hours earlier where you are in Hawaii. And good evening to everybody else and to any newcomers that we have. And I want to echo what Stu said. Welcome to the Actives family. It's great to be here with you in the next 2.5 hours that I'm going to be sharing with you. I'm kidding. We're only going to be here about 20 minutes, 25 minutes maybe. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the company, but I do want to give you a warm welcome and make sure that you feel welcome. I see a lot of familiar faces on here, and so it's nice to see all of you as well, and members of the Actives family in the U.S. English-speaking group. And I'm going to just have to clarify, this is the first time I've been on this newcomers call. David agreed to do this early on because as many of you know, and as newcomers, you may not know this, we launched the company Actives in Mexico. And I'll give you a little bit of the background of the company. So just so you know, kind of our roots and where we come from. But I was doing Zooms almost every evening. And so it was impossible to get on another one. And so I was very pleased when David said that he would do this newcomers call, because I think I said, welcome to my world. No, I'm kidding. But it is great to be on here. I hear myself speak, and I don't feel like I speak very good English right now, because this is the first English meeting or Zoom that I've done all day, with the exception of earlier this morning with a corporate meeting. But it's great to be here. I am sitting in I'm in my mobile office, otherwise known as a Ford F-150, because I happen to be at my oldest son's soccer training right now. So I hope that you hear me, and I hope that the internet is well suited for this. Let me give a little background in the spirit of just welcoming the newcomers into Actives. As Stu mentioned, I've worked in the direct selling industry since 1995 full time. In 1992, I went to my first opportunity meeting. I was invited there by a friend actually of mine who was a pediatrician from Argentina. And the meeting that I attended was for a company called Amway. I don't think any of you have ever heard of that company. And that's a joke. I know everyone's heard of that company. And I was really turned off. I wasn't into it. It was weird. I was also very young. I was just starting off college. I had recently returned to the United States from living in Chile for a couple of years. And but I ended up signing up there and using some of the products because I wanted to make this guy who I really respected a lot, I wanted to make him happy. But what I really got out of that was I learned, I discovered what I didn't want to be like. right? I would go to meetings and kind of feel the vibe, and I'm like, these people seem really excited and happy about who knows what. I couldn't figure out why they were so excited. Um, and fast forward 3 years, I was in college, studying. I changed my major many times, finished in psychology, and got a job, part-time, working at a company called New Skin, which was a very large direct selling company that today does about $2.5 billion. At the time I was there, they were about 850 million a year, and when I left, they were doing about 1.2 billion. But I discovered the industry called network marketing from the perspective of a corporate employee. And I know that many of you, and especially newcomers, maybe you were introduced to Active through our product. Most of us are. Or maybe you have a background having worked in the network marketing industry. But I will say that over the years, since I worked in the 90s and the early 2000s at this company, I've spent a lot of years. I've never left the industry. I've fallen in love with it. But many people over the years have tried to convince me that, hey, that's a scam. That thing doesn't work. MLM is, this, that, and the other. I mean, I have heard every negative thing that could possibly be said about it when they're trying to convince me that I'm doing the wrong thing, I'm working in the wrong industry, or even as a distributor, that I'm engaged in just kind of, something that's a waste of time. And I've had to look at them and say, you're wasting your time because you're trying to convince the wrong person. Because I, as a corporate employee who earned maybe $10 an hour early on at that company, I used to issue the checks for more than 200 people, all of which were over $50,000 a month. And I happened to be an account manager for the top earners of that company. And that company was an older company. It started in 1984. And I started there in 1995, and I left there in 2001, almost 2002, end of 2001. And I said, you're trying to convince the wrong person, because of all the industries and of all the professions that somebody could choose to do, one thing that I am certain of is that the network marketing or direct selling industry is incredibly viable, and it levels the playing field for entrepreneurs to have not just a modicum of success, but significant success. Now, there are people who speak about this maybe in a more crude way, and it sounds like they're talking about getting rich quick, right? They're talking about money scams and pyramid things. And the fact is this is an incredibly legitimate way to work for yourself and to kind of get out of the rat race, right? The rat race that is traditional business, traditional jobs, exchanging time for money. So one of the things that we do in this industry, and one of the things that we prioritize in ACT, is helping people understand how to generate residual income. Residual income is also known as passive income. It's what pays to you based on work, based on being productive at an earlier time. And so we actually consider that one of our major products here. And it's part of the educational system that we present and that we talk about and train on. You can learn more about that in the success guide. So like I said, if you're new, I would point you to the success guide. I would point you to the application, which you should have downloaded. I'd point you to your virtual office, and in the virtual office and the application, you're going to find videos, training tutorials from lots of our successful distributors, and you're going to hear a lot of the same information, but talked about by people with different personalities, right? And everyone's experience is different. So if you want to know more about the product, and I would encourage you to find out more about it, please download the videos, watch the videos that we have in the virtual office and the app. Right? They're in the library. To learn more about the business, we have business testimonials, we have compensation plan videos, we have presentations that you'll see titled as active school presentations, some of them. Excuse me, a call was coming in there. And so I'd encourage you to do that. One thing that I've learned over the years, on the corporate side, but mostly on the distributor side, and I was a distributor with 4 different companies over the years, is you will get out of this what you put into it, right? No one is going to come hand you a pile of gold or a successful sales organization. It's going to be you investing in yourself, investing in your training, and that's personal development training, and that's understanding the underpinnings of the Actives offering, right? So just get good at talking about maybe 3 features and 3 benefits of each product, 3 features and 3 benefits of the opportunity. You don't need to master the compensation plan, and you've probably heard a lot about that, but know how to make money, right? It's two very different things. One, knowing how to make money in Actives is different than being able to explain academically how dynamic compression works, or horizontal compression, or leg balance, or placement of business centers, which I just confused half the crowd, I think, right? But to know how to invite 10 business partners over the course of 90 days and earn a $500 bonus. Well, it's actually a $900 bonus in total. Well, I just explained how to do that. To explain how to earn $500 a month, right? Make sure that you're mastering these simple things, right? Invite 3 friends who are somewhat entrepreneurial and help them find their customers, their neighbor, their mother-in-law, their niece, their brother, their sister. Help them, work with them, help them find 10 customers who use our trifecta, which I'm not going to get into that, but hopefully you already know about that, and maybe Arrow, and you will earn residually $500 a month. It's called the M3 system, or the Me Plus 3, and you can find out more about that in the success guide. So what I just did there is just get comfortable being able to share with someone quickly how to earn $500 a month, right? If you do that, you're going to go really, really far. Let me back up and give you a little bit of my background. Well, I've given you my background, a little bit of the background of Actives. What's this company that you've joined? Well, it starts a long time ago. Really, it starts long before we launched the company, before David Brown and I and our team launched the company. I would say it really kind of started back when Angie Hawthorne and I were working together. And Angie Hawthorne, you'll meet her. She's our chief operating officer. She's on the Zoom tonight. She was welcoming people. She and I were working at a startup company based in Boston, Massachusetts, and kind of saw the writing on the wall. Didn't think it's going to go very, very, very far. And actually, incidentally, Angie and I and some others she and I have worked together since 2003. It's going to be 20 years, Angie, if you can believe that, next year that we've been working together. I can't believe that. So she and I have a long history of having worked together. And Stu, I mean, we've got at least 10 years working together. And that's something that you're going to find at Actives is we are a team of people who we didn't just meet each other here at Actives. We've worked with each other for many years in this industry, which helps us be adaptable and helps us be resilient and play like any good team plays. But Actives really started when I was contacted. This is my story. I was contacted by a friend, and he said, hey, there's some investors who want to meet with us in Mexico. They know who you are from a previous company that you were at, and they want to invest in a company that you would do, right? And we started to travel. This was in 2016, travel to Mexico, and it got really interesting. And we listened to their proposals, and I can remember telling my friend, if we're going to do this, we've got to go big. I've got no interest being a knockoff company, just a flavor of the week direct selling company. The world has no shortage of network marketing companies. And I said, what would really solidify it for me is if I had the best scientists and the best products. I mean, this is a true story. This is exactly what happened. And I happened to know a scientist from a previous company who I knew very well, and we were friends. And his name was Dr. Joe McCord. And so I started to email him, and this was early in 2016. And we started to talk on the phone, and I decided to go visit him. And this was October of 2016. And I traveled to Florida and met with, actually, I landed right at the same time as Hurricane Matthew landed. Literally, if you guys remember, if you live in the Southeast or anywhere near Florida, Hurricane Matthew was a doozy down in Florida in October 2016. My plane landed just a few hours before it hit. So I ended up being stuck in the hotel without electricity for 3 days, thinking all is lost. I guess I'm not going to meet with this scientist named Dr. Joe McCord, who's really an expert in anti-aging and some other really cool stuff, but I'll call it anti-aging for the sake of this story. But then I'll never forget, on a Sunday, everything passed and it was beautiful. The sun was out. There was tons of water everywhere and trees laying down. And I called him and we talked. I said, how are you? And he said that he was good. He survived, lived in Palm Springs. And we both drove maybe an hour to an hour and a half to meet up with each other at a small restaurant in a little town called Okeechobee, Florida. And we greeted each other and sat down for half a day. And he showed me how the science of anti-aging, right, which today I'm going to refer to it as epigenetic technology, because it's the science of influencing our own genes or the expression of our genes. And he showed me how it had really evolved from what we previously had believed, right? We had launched a company that was quite successful, grown it to $200 million. Stu Carvalho was there, who's on the Zoom tonight. Many of our distributors who are on the Zoom tonight were there with us, and Angie Hawthorne. And he explained that he and his lab, which is headquartered at the medical school at the University of Colorado, had really developed an enhanced version, 10 times more potent, just really, really strong, really powerful. But it was less about reducing oxidative stress, which we previously just thought it did, and much more about working with genes and identifying families of genes and having them express. And by express, that's produce survival genes. And in some cases, it's down regulate their expression. So there's some genes that we inherit from our families that are associated with negative things like addictions and diseases and illnesses. So this is really interesting. To make a long story short, I told him that I was starting a company, launching it in Mexico, focusing first in Latin America, and wanted this formula, was very interested. He said that was interesting to him, but that I would first need to really clear it and talk to the president of his research group, another doctor named Dr. Brooks Hybertson, which had me jumping on another plane the following month and traveling to Colorado, meeting his partner, Dr. Bifeng Gao and Dr. Brooks Hybertson, spending a day and a half with them in the lab and really going through discussing what a partnership or what a licensing agreement would look like. And to make a long story short, within a couple of months, we agreed, and we documented everything. And then the hard part started. It was about finding a manufacturer, finding early distributors who would be with us in this company, and most important, as importantly, finding the financing. So over the course of a year, traveling to Mexico every single month, finding the manufacturer, our first manufacturer, and just getting everything lined up, I started to talk to another old friend of mine, not a scientist, but a man named David Brown, who had secured control and was the CEO of a manufacturing company in Salt Lake. And he and I had always talked about wanting to work together, wanting to get back together, because he had been the CEO of the company where we both had worked with Dr. Joe McCord. And he had a strong background on product and nutrition. And to make up, again, a very long story short, after a year of traveling to Mexico and spending all of my savings and trying to get as much ready as I could, and Angie can attest to this because she was with me, and we would talk, almost monthly about the progress. David said he was ready and asked me when I could fly to Utah. And I said, right now. And so this was April of 2017. I flew to Utah. We sat down. We met for just a couple hours. We decided that he could use his manufacturing facility to help launch this company. And on the wall, and here's a story that I don't think either he or I have ever talked about for all of you active distributors. On the wall was a picture of an old brand that this manufacturing company used to have, didn't use it. It was basically a retired brand, and it was called Actives. Now, I didn't have a name for the company that I was trying to start. It was just Newco. And, I knew that we would be, come naming it. And he said, what do you think about that name? And I looked at it and I said, I like that. It's interesting. And we started to talk about the word actives and how it could be used and how it really refers to its direct reference to our products, which is they activate gene expression, right? They help us activate our genetic potential. They activate our cells. They activate, and what we want to do with actives is far more than just sell a product, but we really want to activate people's potential. And one way that you activate people's potential is helping them take control of their life circumstances, empowering them with the opportunity to own and operate their own asset, which generates residual income over the long haul, right? That kind of freedom really helps you activate aspects of your life that most people, unfortunately, never tap into. So we fell in love with that word actives, and that's where it comes from. It comes from a picture on a wall from an old line of products that used to be sold by, long before David even got there, by that manufacturing company. So we gave the name New Life, and it's perfect for our company. So that's how we started. And in end of November of 2017, we launched this company. The rest is history. We launched in Mexico, and we launched in Mexico because, as I said before, I had an existing group of people that I knew would be interested in this, that I knew if they heard that we were launching a new company, especially in Mexico, with this same product formulated by a scientist who's very well known down there, that they would be in this. Like it was a sure bet. And then I would say probably within the year, we started to slowly pre-launch the United States. And so all the people that are in Actives right now, in fact, all the distributors that we have on this call, you are really early in, because we have not even scratched the surface in the United States. The United States is our most recent market to really be focusing on. It's the largest market. The Direct Selling Association, which is an association which governs and oversees this industry, has published that the United States, it's the number 1 country in the world for direct selling. And I know that a lot of people say, people don't want to do this here. They're skeptical. Well, I'll let you know that is according to the numbers and statistics, the Direct Selling Association, that's just not the case. Every single week in the United States, there are 165,000 people that sign up to join to open their own business in a network marketing company. Globally, it's 375,000. But you can see how with all the countries, 170 countries, 220 territories, the United States is a huge player in the direct selling industry. More millionaires have been created in this industry than in the stock market or any other industry in the world. So these are all great things to consider, especially as you launch your business here in the United States. If you speak Spanish, well, it's as if we have a country of Spanish speakers living in the United States. 55 million people out of a country of 300 and close to 360 million people. So there's opportunity all around us. I recently came across another study, just to kind of keep beating this drum of why this is such an exciting time to be getting involved with actives. Talking about e-commerce, and we all know how e-commerce is just exploding. And the study reference that was done talked about social selling. They referred to something called social selling, which is individuals marketing a product or service themselves, not corporations, but themselves online, right? Through social media influencing, through digital marketing campaigns. And the study is forecasting that by the year 2028, just around the corner from us, social selling will make up half of all e-commerce transactions. Half of all e-commerce transactions. and half of all e-commerce transactions represents $2.5 trillion in sales. So that's what that's what each of you and all of us have ahead of us. The question we have to ask ourselves is, what piece of that expanding marketplace do you need to be able to retire? What piece of pie do you need, right? Because frankly, you don't need very much to do very well financially. Another important tidbit, and something that's really important to remember, sometimes we think that we're not good enough. Sometimes we think that us telling our story, us inviting, us being the ones contacting isn't good enough, and we need, to run TV ads or commercials. And no, I'm here to tell you that Forrester Research, a marketing research company, and I was reminded of this earlier today, and I used to talk about this study a lot. They published a few years ago indicating that the number one driver of consumer decisions is word of mouth marketing. So people who you know and trust recommending a service or a product to a friend or someone they know. That is the number one driver. The number one reason why we do what we do is because someone we know and trust just lets us know about it, talks to us about it. Number two is like, actors promoting a brand, or sports figures promoting a brand. Number four is other like famous people, like maybe a Dr. Oz getting behind it. Number five is traditional advertising, commercials, influencers online. But isn't it interesting that still in the United States, the number one driver of consumer behavior is personal recommendation or word of mouth marketing. So guys, why do I share all that? I'm talking about the history of actives. I'm talking a little bit about the industry. It's because I just want to underscore that we are on the right place at the right time. And if you're brand new here, more than welcoming you, I want you to really understand what you have in your hands. You are in the right place at the right time. Okay. Make sure you do your diligence, make sure you do your homework, you invest in yourself. When we talk about investing in business, invest in yourself. If you invest in yourself, you'll become the type of person that attracts other entrepreneurs like you, and you will have eventual success, right? It's not going to happen with you trying to sell. It will happen with you becoming the person that will attract like-minded individuals. So invest in yourself, invest in your education, right? Watch every video in the virtual office, in the application. There's a lot of free stuff on YouTube that I like to watch as well. Don't waste time on that. Don't spend more than half an hour a day doing that, but spend that half an hour a day in the morning investing in yourself, and then start sharing and start looking for the next business partner. And, let me just close by talking about our vision. I've talked about where we came from, where we're at now, with regard vis-a-vis the US market. Our vision is to be in as many countries as we can and really push forward the message of epigenetic science or epigenetic technology. So right now we have the trifecta. We have Aero, and we have a line of anti-aging skincare called Emora. Are those going to be the only products that we ever come out with, or that our formulators ever develop? I don't think so. We're looking in other categories. We're looking at other things, other consumables that people are right now spending money on. Unfortunately, they're spending money on things that don't do anything for them. And epigenetics it's relatively new as a technology. You can go to pubmed.gov. You can type it in. You can go to epigeneticsinfo.com to learn more about this. But we know that we're just right at the cusp, right at the early part of a massive movement that's ultimately going to represent how people access health, wellness, and eventually medicine is going to be informed by epigenetic science. So you're all first. You're all the early adopters that get to go talk about it and share the good word. So the future is bright. You're in the right place at the right time. And I think that we're gonna be able to take some questions here for anybody that would like to ask them. But as for me, I think this is my pitch. We're here to support you if there's anything we can do for you. And so Stu or Angie, maybe we can open this up to a couple questions.
If anyone has questions for our president, Ryan Thompson, whether it's personal, no, I'm kidding, but as it relates to the company, feel free to. There's no one in the chat, Ryan, that typed anything. Okay. So if you have the questions, take yourself on mute and feel free to ask away.
Diane,
Karen,
go ahead, Diane.
Oh, well, Karen is on. Karen, do you want to ask your question? We had a couple of questions, actually. Don't be shy. Just, you know how to unmute yourself there?
Well, one question I had, and that was very good, Ryan, and very uplifting for me. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I was wondering about Emora toner
Uh-huh.
and where we're standing
Yes,
with that.
Okay, so is your question about whether I use it? Yes, I use it every day, and I love it. No, I'm kidding. That wasn't your question, was it?
No, but it's nice to know. If you do. Anyway,
I do.
I was just wondering when it might be available. I need to
what
call.
the status is. Let me give that's actually a really good question. I am joking, but I love of all of our toner products. I mean, of all of our Emora products, toner is the one that I use the most because I splash it on all the time. So we're in the process of retooling certain aspects of Emora. We've been discussing line extensions for some time. And by line extensions, that means other products and maybe enhancements to the existing line. So we're in the process of doing that now. And so we've temporarily, that is currently on hold. I'm pretty sure we're going to have it here in the next few months. But part of the reason for that is we're shifting gears as it relates to Emora. You're gonna like the future of Emora. Let me just say that. And we're not getting rid of it. I'm not insinuating that. Absolutely not. Yeah, we're gonna have it. We'll have it soon.
Well, I thank you. It's a wonderful product.
Yeah,
all of its pieces and parts are wonderful.
Agreed.
Okay, I have a question. So Karen is a new distributor out of Oregon, I believe. Anyway, and she had a couple of questions. She was on a device. She must be on her device where she can't use her mic. So she wanted me to ask. I actually texted David this. But first of all, I'm going to ask specifically, do you know when the Emora is going to come back out? Angie had said possibly the middle of this month.
I would defer to Angie on that. She keeps her thumb on the pulse of the productions.
Okay.
So yeah, if that's what she said, then I won't contradict it.
Okay. And then will we have a new product on it? I'm going to pick your brain.
I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay. Yeah. We don't want to spell the
No,
beans. Okay.
we are very interested in expanding the line. We're not going to. Will it be next month? No.
Okay.
But that's one of the things that we have had on sort of the top of our list for a very long time. And back when we launched Emora, one of the first things people said was, "Wow, we love this. This is incredible. Can we have an eye serum? Can we have a pH? Can we have, can we have a moisturizer?" And so there are definitely things that we're going to be doing as we retool the line.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So now for Karen's question. For example, I didn't start the Arrow right away because I can't tolerate caffeine. And
I forgot about that. Sorry.
Karen, you might want to mute yourself. So,
okay.
So thank you. Thank you so much. So anyway, and so Karen's question was, why is it that I love Emora now. I started it 10 days after I started. I didn't start it because I couldn't tolerate guarana before, and I couldn't, because I know that our Arrow has 70 milligrams of caffeine, but I can tolerate this. It gives me a nice elevated awareness instead of the jitters. So what is the difference in the caffeine with our guarana that was 70 milligrams than with a brown coffee? I know we have a little bit of green coffee in ours, I believe. So why can we tolerate this and we can't tolerate regular caffeine? And what's the difference?
Well, so what I can tell you is the source of caffeine has a lot to do with tolerance levels. So whether someone can tolerate something if it, I mean, you're talking about two naturally occurring sources though. It might be a softer source. People who can't drink, say, a soda or energy drink or take anything that has that's caffeinated, it has everything to do with the source. And so people, and we get that a lot, Diane, a lot of people that don't drink caffeine or coffee, caffeinated beverages are able to drink Arrow, and it has to do with it. It fits nicely. I think it's buffered by the other natural ingredients. Other natural ingredients, and because it's naturally occurring, and it's not spiked with that ingredient. It's not spiked with green coffee extract or with guarana. It's buffered by the other. What do we call that? Actors, the other components, not actors, by the other components in the product. Other than that, I wouldn't know what to say. I mean, there's nothing magical about it other than it's naturally occurring, and I think that's what the key is.
Well, I would argue with you that it's not magical, because for me it is. I drink it every day and I love it twice a day usually. But anyway,
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, normally I can't even take guarana, which you said, that I love that accent.
Yeah.
But that always gave me the jitters along with coffee, but I love this. So anyway, okay, so it's naturally occurring. I'm gonna mirror back to you what you said.
And it's part of a larger, the larger formula. So what I was looking for is it's buffered by the other supporting actors. So the overall formula is what mitigates some of the sharp edges that would be traditionally felt by a caffeine beverage.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thanks, Diane.
Ryan, Kathleen had a question in regards to retail and how we regard retail establishments for distributors. Kathleen, if you're on, if you want to expand on that question.
Yes, thank you. I have a local health food establishment. They have 3 separate stores. They're privately owned. And with our previous company, they had indicated that they would not consider a product that was through MLM. With this new company, Actives, I'm wondering if there is the likelihood, because it is different, the method primarily would be the same, but the transaction of purchasing is different. And I'm wondering if you had any advice in that regard.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate that was their response or their position, even with the previous products that you're talking about. Probably the best thing that I would recommend is let them know that this is an omni-channel company. We utilize a variety of distribution outlets, and part of our future plan, our future development, is to, and all of this, just between us here on the Zoom, all of that volume that's sold through a variety of different channels will fund the global bonus pools. And everything that we've ever sold on Amazon, all of that goes into the global bonus pools. We early on years ago, we were thinking that we were going to get into a chain of kiosks like in China, right? Or certain markets that we would not be necessarily even doing network marketing in. And that revenue, that volume would be contributing to the global bonus pool that would be then shared among A6s and above on a monthly basis. So the point, though, relative to the store you're talking about, is that we're not an MLM company. I don't consider myself an MLM company. We're an omni-channel company, right? We've launched the company. We use independent distribution franchises or independent contractors, just like Merck, Pfizer, Eli Lilly uses their pharma reps. I mean, there really is very little, if no difference, other than an independent contractor can earn residual income, and a Merck or Pfizer rep can't. Right there, it's just one. It's a one level sale, and so being an omni-channel company, hopefully that they'll see that more and more companies are doing this, whether they're being marketed through influencers online, as well as an online store, as well as a brick and mortar store, as well as healthcare professionals. I mean, we're not the only product line doing this. This is becoming more and more and more mainstream. And so maybe if you have the chance, help them understand that this isn't an MLM company selling a product, right? This is, I mean, if you spend any time on Facebook at all, you're going to see all the types of advertisements for products being promoted and advertised. Well, guess what? Oftentimes those are also sold in a brick and mortar. And guess what? Oftentimes they have an Amazon store. And guess what? They're also sometimes distributed in a healthcare professional outlet or a healthcare practitioner outlet. So like I said, it's not unique to us, but we're an omni-channel distribution company. Is that helpful? Okay.
Yes,
Tom
thank
has a
you.
And
question.
Tom has a question. He's raising his hand. So Tom, you can go ahead and come off mute. And
Thank you. Ryan, thank you so much. It's nice meeting you over Zoom. Having done this for a long time, a couple of the words you said jumped out at me. The words enhancing the existing line. As you know, I mean, network marketers get very jittery when they hear about changing existing products that are, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, kind of thing. Is that, are you referring to the trifecta, or is that what you're talking about?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, we were talking about Amora, and we were talking about when toner is going to be back in stock. And I was talking about our desire and interest in potential and future line enhancements, line extensions, right? So, no, we're not fixing something that's not broken.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah. No, great comment though, Tom. Thank you. All right, any other questions? These are good questions so far. All right.
All right. I don't see any other questions in the chat, Ryan. So.
All right.
Good.
Great. Well, you know what, Stu, before I pass it to you, thanks everybody for getting on tonight. For all of you that are new, welcome. Hopefully we can meet in person sometime soon. And, let's just, like I said, let us know if we can support you in any way. And Wednesdays, we have our corporate update call, Wednesdays at 12 Pacific and 1 o'clock Mountain. And so I would encourage everyone to attend that. That's also, it's also a good place to invite people who want to get a sense of the company. We'll often have guests there talking, but it's where we essentially share the updates of what's happening each and every week. So that's Wednesday, and then of course this Tuesday evening call. So anyways, thank you so much, guys. It's great to see you all here. Have a wonderful evening. And Stu, I'll pass the time back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Ryan. That was amazing. I love it. I mean, each week David makes a different, spin on his presentation, and you just had an entirely new spin, which was very, very informative. I hope a lot of you were able to learn some things, not only about our company, but also about our president, Ryan Thompson, his persistence, his expertise in this industry, but more importantly, his relationships with people and how much he values them. And so thank you so much, Ryan. Really appreciate it. I'll turn the time over now to Angie.
Okay.
all right, thank you, Stu. So I'm going to end the recording really quick.